After you left, life kept moving normally. Morning train still arrived exactly on time. People still laughed in crowded restaurants. The world continued without asking if I was ready. And honestly, that felt almost cruel at first. How ordinary everything remained afterward. While somewhere inside me, something important had quietly disappeared. Because loving you was never just a relationship. It became part of the emotional structure of my life. Part of the way I understood comfort, safety, peace. I think some people leave and take versions of us with them. And I think a part of me stayed with you, some softer version I only knew beside your love. The hopeful part, the calmer part, the one that stopped expecting loneliness everywhere. 'Cause being loved by you changed me slowly, in all the invisible ways that matter most. And even now I still feel traces of your presence inside the person I became afterward. I still remember how naturally we existed together, like silence had finally become somewhere safe to rest. No pressure to perform happiness constantly, no fear of being emotionally difficult to carry. You noticed sadness before I ever explained it, the quieter kinds hidden underneath tired smiles. And somehow your gentleness made vulnerability feel possible. After years of treating it like danger, I think that's why grief lingers so long sometimes. Not because we cannot survive without someone, but because certain people teach our hearts a softer way to live than we knew before them. No dramatic ending, just two lives slowly separating, while love still existed underneath. And I think a part of me stayed with you, in all the unfinished conversations and imagined futures, in the ordinary routines we built together quietly without realizing how sacred they would become later. And maybe part of you still lives in me too, in the gentler way I speak when someone is hurting, in the softness your love left behind long after your hands stopped holding mine. I used to believe healing meant becoming who I was before, but now I think heartbreak changes people permanently. Some love stories do not disappear after ending, they simply become part of your emotional history, part of your inner voice, part of the way you understand tenderness forever afterward. Maybe that's okay. Maybe not all loss is meant to be erased completely. So yes, I am learning how to keep living, learning how to carry your memory without collapsing beneath it. But some nights I still feel your absence quietly, in the spaces where comfort used to be. Because I think a part of me stayed with you, and honestly, part of me always will. Not enough to stop living, just enough to remember what love felt like. You left, but your softness stayed behind. And me, before before you, I had mastered disappearing quietly, saying I'm fine before anyone asked twice. Keeping difficult thoughts hidden beneath humor, and calling emotional distance maturity. Then somehow you started noticing everything, the hesitation in my voice late at night, the way my silence changed when sadness arrived. Even the things I tried hardest not to reveal. And loving you felt unfamiliar at first, because being understood that deeply is terrifying. When you've spent most of your life believing people only stay for the easier versions of you, but you stayed long enough for honesty to stop feeling dangerous. I don't think anyone ever knew me like you did. Not the surface version, not the carefully edited one, but the quieter person underneath all of that. You knew the fears I never explained properly, the loneliness hidden inside my humor, and somehow you held those fragile parts gently, without making me feel difficult to love. I remember nights we spent awake until morning, talking softly while the city disappeared outside. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel emotionally alone inside my own mind. You listened in a way that changed people, not just hearing words, but hearing the feeling beneath them too. Like my inner world mattered enough to move slowly through. And honestly, I think that kind of intimacy ruined me a little, because after someone loves you that carefully, every shallow connection afterward feels incomplete. Like trying to recreate warmth from memory alone. No dramatic obsession, just the ache of once being fully understood. I don't think anyone ever knew me like you did, in all the invisible ways that mattered most. Like recognizing sadness from one change in my breathing, or hearing exhaustion hidden behind ordinary sentences. And now sometimes I miss you in specific moments that nobody else would even notice, because losing someone who understood your soul creates a loneliness language can barely hold. I used to think love was about being chosen, but now I think part of love is being recognized, being seen completely, and not turned away from afterward. And maybe that's why your absence still echoes through me, because once someone truly understands your inner world, silence never feels quite the same again. So yes, life keeps moving after heartbreak. Morning still arrives, people still speak my name, but part of me still carries the comfort of being known by you. Like warmth surviving quietly after the fire disappears. And even if time softens the sadness eventually, I think I'll always remember you gently, as the person who looked at my hidden heart and loved it without asking me to become easier first. You knew me softly, completely, and I don't think I'll ever forget that feeling. People say you get used to everything eventually, even absence, even silence, even missing someone. But I think some things never fully become normal. They just learn how to sit quietly inside you, like mornings that still feel slightly incomplete, even when nothing is actually wrong anymore. Or evenings where I catch myself thinking about telling you something that will never reach you. Life moved forward exactly as it was supposed to. Days still arrive, conversations still happen, but something subtle never adjusted properly, like a part of my emotional world stayed behind. I adapted, but I didn't move on. I never got used to life without you. No matter how much time has passed since then, there's still a space in everything I experience that quietly remembers how it felt when you were here. And maybe that's not failure, maybe that's just what real love leaves behind. Because some people don't leave your life completely, they leave their shape inside it. I learned how to function without you slowly, how to smile in conversations that don't reach that depth, how to fill the hours that used to belong to us with things that feel meaningful enough. But none of it replaced the feeling properly, the quiet emotional understanding we used to share, the way I didn't have to explain myself fully to feel completely seen. And I think that's what I miss the most. Not the relationship itself, but the version of me that only existed when I was loved by you. Some kinds of love don't end, they just change where they live. I never got used to life without you, even though I've learned how to survive it now. There are still moments where everything feels softer in memory than anything I experience in the present. And I wonder if that ever fully changes, or if some people are simply meant to stay as emotional echoes inside us long after they've gone. Maybe healing was never about forgetting, maybe it was always about carrying it differently, learning how to live beside a memory without letting it stop life from continuing. But even understanding that doesn't make the missing part smaller, it just makes it quieter. So I move through days that look normal on the outside, while something inside still remembers you clearly. Not as pain exactly, but as a presence that used to feel like home. And I think I've accepted now that I never got used to life without you. I just learned how to live around it carefully. Some people leave, and the world stays the same, but you don't feel the same inside it anymore. It's strange, the things heartbreak leaves behind. Not only the big memories or dramatic moments, but the small habits woven into ordinary life that suddenly have nowhere left to go. Like hearing something funny on the train home and instinctively reaching for my phone, or finishing difficult days and realizing I no longer know who to tell about them first. You used to exist inside every detail of my routine. Morning thoughts, late night conversations, tired little updates, and I never realized how much comfort lived there until silence slowly replaced your name. I think intimacy is smaller than people imagine. Sometimes it's simply knowing who hears your life first. And I miss telling you about my day, the meaningless little moments nobody else would understand, the tired thoughts after long afternoons, the stories that only felt complete once they reached you. Because somehow you made ordinary life feel important, like even my smallest feelings deserve space beside yours. And now the quiet feels heavier than before, without your voice waiting somewhere at the end of it. I remember nights we stayed awake too late, talking about absolutely nothing for hours. Music playing softly through the darkness, while exhaustion made both of us more honest than usual. You knew how to listen without rushing me, without turning every sadness into something needing repair. And honestly, that kind of gentleness changed me more deeply than any dramatic love story ever could. I think that's why losing you still feels strange, not sharp anymore, just woven quietly through everyday life. Like your absence learned the shape of my routines too. No grand tragedy tonight, just loneliness arriving in ordinary moments again. And I miss telling you about my day in the calm, familiar way we used to exist together, like my thoughts naturally belong somewhere safe the moment they appeared inside my mind. And maybe that sounds small to other people, but after years of feeling emotionally alone, being heard that consistently started feeling a little like home. I used to believe love was built from unforgettable moments, but now I think real love grows differently than that. Maybe it's built through repetition, through showing up every day, through learning another person so carefully that even their smallest stories begin mattering to you deeply. And maybe heartbreak hurts so long afterward, because ordinary life still carries echoes of that closeness everywhere. So now some evenings feel emotionally unfinished, like conversations interrupted halfway through, because part of loving someone deeply is building your inner world around sharing life with them too. And even if time softens this loneliness eventually, I think part of me will always miss the simple, beautiful comfort of telling you about my day and hearing about yours. I still reach for you sometimes, in all the smallest ways. At first you were just another conversation, another voice appearing softly in my nights. Someone I laughed with after difficult days, someone who made exhaustion feel lighter for a while. But slowly, without either of us noticing, you became part of every version of my life. Morning thoughts, midnight drives, future plans, little routines stitched quietly around your existence. And I think that's why love felt so natural with you, because nothing about it seemed forced or dramatic. You just kept showing up gently until my heart stopped feeling alone inside the world. No sudden moment, just comfort slowly turning into something sacred. Somewhere along the way you became home in all the quiet ordinary ways, in tired conversations after midnight, and your voice calming the chaos in my head. You made life feel emotionally softer, like survival no longer had to be exhausting every day. And even now part of me still searches for that feeling. In every quiet room you used to fill with warmth. I remember rainy evenings spent beside you, music low enough to hear each other breathe, neither of us saying very much at all. And somehow those moments still became everything to me. You understood sadness I never explained properly, the quieter kinds hidden underneath humor. And loving you never felt like losing myself, it felt like finally being allowed to rest. Honestly, I think people underestimate gentle love because it doesn't arrive loudly enough. But some of the deepest happiness I have ever known looked exactly like sitting peacefully beside you. No chaos, no fireworks, just peace, becoming attachment over time. Somewhere along the way you became home without either of us realizing when it happened. One day your presence simply became essential, like breathing or music or sleep. And now even familiar places feel different without you, like part of the world lost its softness overnight. Because once your heart learns where safety lives, every absence afterward echoes a little deeper. I used to think home was something physical, a city, a room, a place you could return to whenever you wanted. But now I think home can also be another person, someone whose existence makes your nervous system finally unclench, someone whose love teaches your heart that peace is actually possible. And maybe that's why losing you felt so disorienting, because I wasn't only losing a relationship, I was losing the place inside life where I felt safest. So yes, time keeps moving around me, and slowly I am learning how to carry the grief differently. But some nights I still miss you quietly, and all the ordinary ways that never fully disappear. 'Cause somewhere along the way you became home, and even now part of my heart still lives there, in the memory of your laughter through dim apartment light. And the softness your love brought into my life for a while. You were never just a person to me. You became peace. You became home. It happens in the smallest moments now. Not the memories I expect, but the ordinary things. A song playing too softly in a cafe, a certain tone in someone's tired voice, and suddenly you are there again. Not as a thought I'm trying to summon, but as something my mind recognizes instantly. Before I even have time to stop it, I keep moving through the day like normal, answering messages, walking familiar streets. But there's always this quiet layer underneath it all, where you still seem to exist somehow. I don't chase the memory, it finds me. I still find you in everything quiet, in empty rooms and soft conversations, and moments that don't ask for attention, but still manage to feel like you. And I don't know if that ever fades completely, or if some people just stay woven into perception. Like once you've seen life beside them, everything afterward carries their shape. I notice it most at night, when the world stops trying to be loud or useful, and my thoughts finally slow down enough for honesty to slip through the cracks. That's when I hear you most clearly. Not your actual voice, but the emotional memory of it. The way it used to make everything feel less sharp. And I wonder if you ever feel it too, that strange echo of something that once felt like us. Or if I'm the only one still living inside the softer version of what we were. No reaching, no calling, just remembering without permission. I still find you in everything quiet, even when I try not to, even when I tell myself I've moved forward. There's a part of me that still looks for you instinctively, and maybe that's not love anymore. Maybe it's just memory learning how to breathe, but it still feels like you exist somewhere inside me. In all the places silence becomes heavy again. I used to think healing meant absence, but now I think it just means distance. Learning how to let someone exist in your past without needing them to leave your inner world completely. Because some people don't disappear, they just become part of how you experience everything afterward. So I still find you in everything quiet, not as something I can return to, but as something I learned to feel deeply once, and never fully unlearned. And maybe that's the truth I keep avoiding, that you are not gone from me completely. You are just everywhere now, in a softer, quieter way. And in the silence, you are still